Okay, it's Black Friday week and a bi-coastal Big Ten showdown between the Washington Huskies as they travel to Piscataway to take on our Rutgers Scarlet Knights as a 2.5-point underdog that was 1.5 points up to 3.5 points. Now settling in at 2.5 points. How will this game shake out? We have some keys to a Rutgers victory. Let's get to it. Okay, the Washington Huskies are coming to town as an underdog against our Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So what are some things I'm looking for? What are some of the key matchups? Some of the things that a lot of people talked about, especially before the season. I was not one of these guys, but a lot of people, both fans and talking heads, had this game penciled in the win column for our Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I never saw it. Yes, Washington lost whatever it was, 8, 9, 10 guys to the NFL. But they are still a very talented team with good recruiting classes. It's just a matter if they're going to be able to execute what they want to do on the field. And we'll talk about what they'll need to do. Nonetheless, a lot of people talking about how, Washington has to travel to New Jersey, long trip. They had to travel, I think they played in Chicago against Northwestern. Now they have to come to New Jersey, long trip, jet lag. And are they going to be a little bit drained as they take the field at SHI Stadium? If that is indeed the case, and quite frankly, it'll be something that I would think about. Will we resume ground and pound this week after running an air raid offense against Virginia Tech? That might not be a bad idea, and here's why. First of all, it's what we do. It's our identity. We need to get Kyle going again. We want to run the ball, but we don't want to be predictable. We're going to need to be able to move the sticks with the running game, which we probably should have done on that 4th and 1, but that's a story for another day. Washington's defense, very good. They only give up 10 points per game. They're very good in the passing game. But their EPA score, which is advanced analytics, geeky stuff, which I tend to ignore most of the time because a lot of the time they can't see the forest through the trees. But their expected points added, that's basically what your down and distance says you need versus what it is that you get or you give up. Their run defense is just average, where Rutgers' EPA, their run offense, is well above average, as you may imagine. Now, we're going to have to improve. Last week, we ran the ball 52 times, 153 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. We're not going to be able to get away with that against Washington. If we do, this is going to be a very tight game. Kyle had a very un-Kyle game, like 26 rushes, 84 yards. You better bet your bottom dollar that Washington is watching the Virginia Tech film right now, watching how they shot the gap and sold out to go after Kyle. But that gives us opportunities with Sam. I loved last week, I've said this in my last video, how we worked him in. Very good between the tackles. Want to give defenses something, a change of pace, something to think about. And Sam is a guy that doesn't matter, even if you do have a hole that's a little bit plugged, he's going to drag you for another 3 or 4 yards. He had 14 carries, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week. So he'll be important. Again, can't be too predictable. As I've said in the past, if we want to work in Antoine Raymond and Ja'Shawn Benjamin, that change of pace guy, that scat guy, is going to give you some quickness and change of direction and some speed. That might be an X Factor type of guy. I don't know. I'm kind of undecided on what an X Factor might be for this game. But maybe, a play here like that from a guy like Ja'Shawn Benjamin on a critical 3rd down might go a long way. Nonetheless, Rutgers is 3rd in the Big Ten. And rushing, surprise, surprise, behind the number 1 team. You'll never guess it. And I would have never guessed it. It is Indiana. I kind of figured that their offense would be mostly pass dominant, and it kind of is, but I guess that gives them the ability to run the ball. And not a surprise, number 2 is Iowa. Rutgers is number 3. We're going to have to do what we do. Do I expect us to control the ball like we did against Virginia Tech? That would be nice. 39 minutes and 20 seconds time of possession versus 20 minutes and 40 seconds for Virginia Tech. If we do that, chalk this up in the win column. But it's going to take a balance, a better balance. Rutgers does average 5.5 yards per carry. But I think Washington is good enough on defense. There's going to be a lot of times we only get 2 or 3 yards. And it's okay if Kyle gets, 3 yards here, 3 yards there. But he's going to need to get some chunk plays, some big plays, some double-digit yardage plays to kind of loosen things up and open things up. Not unlike, here it comes, 2006 Louisville. Ray got off to a little bit of a slow start in that game. Third quarter, he started to pick up momentum. By the fourth quarter, he was just ripping off chunks. I wouldn't be shocked if this was that kind of game where it just took a little while for Kyle to get going. But we can make life easy on him and the rushing offense if we're able to throw the ball as effectively as we did with Virginia Tech. Maybe not so many deep shots downfield that are low percentage passes. But I feel if we get a little bit of a better balance, if we run like we did against Virginia Tech for 150 yards and we're averaging less than 3 yards, that's going to be a tough slog, a tough way to win a game. Let's get the running game going, rotating those guys in, be a little creative on offense. But in order for the running game to succeed, let's have Ethan do what he does. Quick, accurate throws underneath. I don't know if we're going to go to that well again with the drag routes with the tight end to Kenny Fletcher. My guess is Virginia Tech will be looking for that, but he's going to have to play a role. So the passing game is getting better. It's spreading the ball around to our playmakers and to the tight end position. Let's continue to do that. Let's keep Washington off balance and on their heels by not knowing what it is we're going to do in any particular scenario. 3rd and 2, what are we going to do? We're going to run it to Kyle, we're going to run it to Sam, or we're going to throw it? We're going to throw it to tight end, and we're going to look for Diamir in space underneath. So there's going to require a balance between the two. Rutgers actually averages more yards per game than Washington. It's a little bit of a surprise. 471 to Washington's 456. But here's the deal with Washington. They're not turning all those yards into points. They're not finishing drives. So they average 27 points a game. We're just under 40. So let's, if we can find that balance, keep the sticks moving, get the ball into the end zone. And the running game, as always, will be critical. But it's more important in this game because Washington is a very good defense. So Kirk Ciarrocca is going to have to be on his game with his play calling, not just in the pass game, but how it is he utilizes his running back room and what kind of plays he calls on the particular down and distance. So those two things, the passing game, the running game, and obviously the defense. Now, the Washington pass offense is almost double what we do, at least in yardage. Their offense is, again, in the expected points added, their pass offense is 12th in the country. But here's the thing. This is a good matchup. It's going to be a nip and tuck. It's going to be fun to watch. Rutgers secondary is ranked 10th in EPA expected points added in the country. So what's going to give? What are we going to have to do? Well, we're going to have to manage Will Rogers. He 75.7 completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's not turning the ball over like he did in the air raid offense down at Mississippi State. But that's okay. We can let him have some completion. I don't care if he completes 65% of his passes, as long as we keep them underneath. And Denzel Boston, who has 5 touchdowns already, if we can keep him from getting behind the secondary and, limit his catch. Look, we did a good job against Lane and Virginia Tech last week. And We did a great job, despite two sort of junky late short touchdowns on Marvin Harrison Jr. last year. So we have the ability to manage the big passer and the wide receivers. Now, the running back Coleman, Coach Schiano mentioned him. You know, he averages 5 yards a carry. Doesn't have a lot of yards, doesn't have a lot of carries. I don't know if that's because it's a philosophic thing. They want to be able to throw the ball first and then, you know, run the ball off the pass, catch defenses on their heels and catch them off guard. Or their running game is just not developed and good enough to be able to control the ball and run all game. So if you're in the Big Ten, you kind of want to be able to do that. But here's what worries me about Coleman. I don't think he's the running threat that Bashal Tutin was for us. Now watch him go out there and have a monster game. Here's what worries me about him. He's a pretty good pass catcher out of the backfield. So we lock him down on first down and second down. Now it's third down. You have the momentum, big part of the game. Crowd's going nuts. And yeah, you throw a screen pass on 3rd and 10 and he gets 12 or 15 yards. That's what worries me. I think, and as always on defense, we talk about this all the time. It's like a broken record. We're going to say it every week until we actually start to do it. Not just getting pressure. Pressure is good. It's better against a traditional pocket passer than it is against a running quarterback who can just take off and get yards. He can get junk yards because the flow of the defense is past them and there's no one out in the field to tackle him. But it's okay to get pressure on a pocket passer because you want to take him out of his rhythm. And as a guy that's been in the air raid offense, which is all timing and ball placement, if you can knock him around, get him to make a mistake, which he hasn't made very many of this year, get in his face, yes, get some sacks. That'll be a great help, as well as, getting a play from that 10th ranked EPA secondary. If they can, tip up some balls, knock down balls on critical third down situations, getting an interception or two would be great. That's going to be a challenge. They're not turning the ball over this much this year. I'd like to see more consistent pressure. Not just on third down or, second and long. I'd like to see first, second, and third down pressure. So I think if the defense can manage itself, and I think they can manage the wide receiver room, I think they can do a decent job against Will Rogers. Just don't let him make the big plays. That was kind of a key also in Virginia Tech game. Drones not making big plays. He didn't make a lot of big plays in the passing game, but he did in the running game. Those big plays on the ground almost was able to pull out a win for Virginia Tech. Let's prevent Will Rogers from having a field day against us. Another kind of key is avoiding mistakes. Now, there is some differences here. Washington has been a very highly penalized team. I mean, they might have even had 15 or 16 in one game. We've been pretty good. We had 4 penalties against, kind of incidental penalties against Virginia Tech for 20 yards. That's good work. 4 for 30 against Sauer. That's pretty good work. And the penalties in that game weren't too significant either. We did have 11 against Akron. Hopefully that's an aberration. But if we can avoid the big mistakes and the big turnovers, because if Washington's the kind of team that doesn't finish drives, they get yards, don't finish drives, you don't want to give them the ball in your territory or around midfield. You want to make them earn those scores, and you want them to not be able to finish drives. If they get their yards, fine, but if they're wasting clock and not getting scores, not turning the ball over will go a long way in that. And, again, do we need to control the ball for, 39 plus minutes? It would be nice, but just play smart football limit the penalties and the turnovers, and we're going to be in this game with an excellent chance to win in the end. I'm interested to see if our offense, how it matches up against Washington's defense. I think we could have a little of both. I think we're going to have several instances where we have a lot of success, and at other times we're expecting that first down on 3rd and 1, and maybe they stop us. But that will be a lot of good matchups. Our run defense, our run offense against their run defense, our pass defense against their pass offense. And then the last thing with the X factor, it's probably going to be something we don't expect. On offense, I expect Kirk Shiraka to continue building momentum and success with our guys who were supposed to make plays, whether it's Kyle or Sam or Daimir, Chris Long, Ian Strong. You know, KJ Duff has been kind of quiet. And so has Dremel. Now Dremel's been on special teams, but will there be a situational football where they can make a big, nip and tuck game, big 3rd down, and they make a big catch to extend the series and we eventually score? Not sure. I'd kind of like to see an X factor on defense. Maybe somebody that's played well but maybe hasn't made a big play yet. Maybe Kosh Sanders, who has had some good moments, but, some moments when he could have been a little better, or, Bo Masco. Maybe he makes a big play, big interception as an X factor that kind of changes the game. So we'll see about that. Nonetheless, those are some key points and matchups to help us be successful. One last thing before we go. It's Saturday night. There will be no football game because it's Black Friday. So if you want to do something and get out and do something for a good cause and meet and greet with Eric LeGrand, Barite Wines and Liquors of New Jersey is holding their annual charity super sampling event at Bell Works Homedale, the former site of historic Bell Labs, the home of 10, that's right, 10 Nobel Prizes in science. It's a charity super sampling event that we do every year. It benefits cancer patients through the Hackensack Meridian, JFK University Medical Center, and Sarala Bethina Foundations. We'll feature over 500 terrific wines, craft beers, spirits, ready-to-drink cocktails, food, music, entertainment, live DJ, a silent auction. Eric LeGrand will be a special guest, and you will be there. We'll be sampling his Eric LeGrand bourbon, his 2-year Kentucky Straight bourbon. I think there's going to be a new bottling coming out soon. So come on down, Rutgers people, and of course, it's a charity event, so it's tax deductible. We'll sample through some great, boy, there's going to be some good stuff. I mean, we're talking Opus, Cayman Special Select, and some other goodies that you probably don't get a chance to sample all that often. So nonetheless, come on down, buy tickets at the door, or you can go click on the link in the bio at Homedale Barite, and look forward to seeing you there, or from section 124 this Friday night. Everybody have a great Black Friday week, and we'll talk to you soon. Let's go, Rutgers. Man, this is good, man. You guys really need the support.